Half a year ago, I was already counted among the dying. But before I tell you what happened that night, let me ask you something. What would you do if the one person who could save your life simply chose not to? Not because they couldn't, not because they weren't a match, but because it didn't fit their schedule. The kind of dying I was facing didn't scream. It didn't come with chaos or urgency. It was quiet, measured, the kind that ticks down slowly in hospital rooms behind glass walls and controlled air. The kind where people lower their voices around you, as if sound itself might take something from you. The kind where everyone already knows the ending. They're just waiting for you to catch up. But instead of lying in a hospital bed, I was standing behind a polished podium. The ballroom was enormous. Hundreds of people dressed in black and gold filled the space, their voices blending into a low hum of power and money. Crystal chandeliers hung overhead, reflecting light in sharp, perfect angles. Cameras were positioned at every corner, ready to capture what was supposed to be a historic night. Merger. One that would reshape industries. A moment people would talk about for years. A legacy event. And at the center of it was me. My mother sat in the front row. Perfect posture. Pearl necklace resting neatly against her collarbone. A face so controlled, so practiced, it had forgotten how to reveal anything real. If you didn't know her, you'd think she was proud. Everyone expected me to talk about growth, expansion, power, the future. Instead, I said something that froze the entire room. My mother was tested as a donor. First, people didn't understand. You could see it in their faces. Confusion. Was like the sentence didn't belong in that room. Then it landed, and you could feel the shift instantly. Like oxygen had been pulled out. She was a match. The cameras stopped clicking. Mid-motion. Frozen. But she refused. No one moved. No whispers. No reactions. Just silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Unavoidable. I looked straight at her. And for the first time in my life, I didn't see my mother. I saw someone else. Someone distant. Someone calculated. A stranger who had made a decision that quietly rewrote everything I believed about love and loyalty. She told the doctors, I continued, my voice steady, that the recovery period would interfere with tonight's announcement. A ripple moved through the room. Not loud, but there. The kind of reaction people try to hide and fail. Because suddenly, this wasn't a business event anymore. It was something else. Something personal. Something exposed. Silence followed. Longer this time. Heavier. Then I said something no one expected. Not even her. This isn't about betrayal. This is about the person who chose differently. Confusion returned. Stronger now. Because people didn't know where this was going. But I did. At the back of the room, almost invisible, stood a woman in a simple dark dress. No jewelry. No presence that demanded attention. The kind of person people overlook without even realizing it. She hadn't spoken to anyone. Hadn't moved. Hadn't drawn a single glance. And yet, she was the reason this entire room was about to change. She didn't know it yet. Didn't know why she had been invited. Didn't know why I was about to say her name. But she would. Because this story didn't begin in that ballroom. It didn't begin with microphones or cameras or power. It began somewhere much quieter, much colder, in a hospital corridor that smelled like antiseptic and exhaustion. And in that hallway, someone made a choice that separated blood from humanity and changed everything. Fire. 6 months before that night, the hospital's VIP floor operated like a different world. Private rooms. Silent hallways. Patients whose names carried weight outside those walls. And then there was her. She moved through it all pushing a cleaning cart. Her name was Celine. She was 28, working double shifts, surviving on little sleep and cheap gum to stay awake. Her job was simple. Clean, move on, don't exist longer than necessary. Room 1107 was different. Everyone knew it. No one said it out loud. But the whispers traveled anyway. Powerful man. Dying. Running out of time. Celine never went inside. She didn't need to. Her life stayed in the hallways. Until one day, the door wasn't fully closed. And voices slipped through. A woman's voice, sharp, controlled. "How long is recovery?" A man replied, calm but firm. "At best, 8 weeks. He won't survive much longer without a transplant." Then the woman said something that didn't belong in that room. "That timeline doesn't work. Find another donor." Celine stopped moving. "There are no other matches," the doctor replied. "Not with his condition." "Then make one," the woman said coldly. "Money solves these things." The conversation ended. Moments later, the woman stepped out. Elegant, untouchable, the kind of presence that didn't acknowledge anyone beneath it. She passed Celine like she wasn't even there, like she was invisible. Celine didn't move. Then slowly she looked through the gap in the door. Inside, a man lay unconscious, machines keeping count of something fragile. And suddenly, she wasn't in that hallway anymore. She was somewhere else. Years ago. A different hospital. A different country. A broken ceiling fan. Heat pressing down like weight. Doctors speaking in tired voices. No donor. No system. No options. She remembered holding her mother's hand as it slowly lost warmth. Remembered the words whispered to her. "Don't cry. This happens. People wait. And they don't make it." Her mother died days later. Just another name that disappeared quietly. Celine blinked, and the memory vanished. She was back in the hallway. Back in front of a door that led to another life slipping away. This time, with a different ending waiting to be chosen. She finished her shift like nothing had happened. Went home. Didn't eat. Didn't sleep. And sometime before sunrise, sitting alone in the dark, she made a decision that didn't feel like a decision at all. It felt like something unfinished, finally demanding to be completed. By morning, she was standing at the hospital's donor registration desk. The nurse looked confused. "Who are you donating for?" Celine shook her head. "No one I know." "You understand the risks." "I do." Forms were placed in front of her. Pages of legal warnings. Medical consequences. Permanent change. Her hand didn't shake as she signed. On the line that asked for relationship to the recipient, she wrote one word. Anonymous. By the time she saw his name again, it had already been 6 months. Celine wasn't in a hospital anymore. She was sitting inside a small office, across from a recruiter who kept flipping through her file with growing interest. "Your experience is impressive," the woman said. "Private care, medical exposure, long-term patient handling." Celine didn't respond. She had learned when to speak, and when silence did more. "The family is extremely selective," the recruiter continued. "You'll be working directly inside their residence. Live-in. High expectations. Very little room for mistakes." Celine nodded once. "I understand. The pay is significantly higher than your previous position." That didn't matter to her. Not really. What mattered was the name written at the top of the file. The same name she had read in the hospital chart. The same name she had heard whispered in that hallway. The same man whose life had continued, because hers had changed. She accepted the job. The house was nothing like anything she had lived in before. It wasn't just large, it was controlled. Every step, every movement, every word felt measured. Rules came quickly. Speak only when necessary. Stay invisible when possible. Do not cross boundaries. Celine adapted. She always did. Then she saw him. Not on a hospital bed this time. Standing. Alive. Walking through his own home like someone who had been given time he wasn't supposed to have. He looked at her briefly. "You're new." "Yes, sir." "What's your name?" "Celine." He repeated it slowly, as if trying to understand it, then nodded and moved on. Just like that. No recognition. No awareness. Nothing. He had no idea. And Celine intended to keep it that way. Days passed. Then weeks. She settled into the rhythm of the house. But it wasn't him who drew her attention. It was the child. A quiet little girl who barely spoke. Who sat at the table without eating. Who carried grief in a way no child should understand. Celine didn't force conversation. She didn't ask questions. She simply existed near her. Cut fruit. Sat across from her. Waited. Eventually the girl spoke. "You talk differently." Celine smiled faintly. "I'm from far away." That seemed enough. From that day on, the silence between them changed. Became something softer. Something shared. But the house itself, that never softened. Especially not her. The woman from the hospital. The one who had walked past Celine like she was nothing. She ruled the house with quiet authority. And colder intentions. First it was subtle. Correction in tone. Disapproval in looks. Then it became something else. A glass placed too hard. A mistake pointed out too loudly. A presence that made it clear. Celine did not belong. Celine endured it. Not because she had to. But because she chose to. One night everything shifted. A child fell sick. Not a mild fever. Something worse. Burning skin. Unsteady breathing. Words that didn't make sense. Celine reacted immediately. She went to inform the woman. But the response was calm. "It's just a fever." "It's not," Celine said carefully. Was. Cold look. "You're overstepping." Celine stood there for a second. Then made a decision. The same kind she had made once before. She didn't ask again. She called for help herself. At the hospital, hours passed slowly. Celine stayed beside the child the entire time. Didn't sleep. Didn't move. Just waited. When the fever finally broke, the tension in her chest eased for the first time that night. And when she looked up, he was there, standing at the doorway, watching, not speaking, not interrupting, just seeing, really seeing, for the first time. Didn't happen all at once. Truth rarely does. Starts with small fractures. Moments that don't quite fit. Details that refuse to stay quiet. For him it began with questions. Why did she know so much about his recovery? Why did she react faster than trained staff? Why did her presence feel familiar in a way he couldn't explain? Then came the moment that changed everything. Tear. Fabric ripping. A sudden movement that exposed what was never meant to be seen. A scar. Precise. Surgical. Exactly where his own was. He froze. Not visibly. Not dramatically. But something inside him stopped. 'Cause he knew that scar. He had lived with its mirror every day. Same place. Same length. Same story. That night he didn't sleep. He searched. Records. Hospital logs. Anonymous donor files. And when he found it, everything shifted. Morning came heavy. He walked into his mother's room without warning. "You refused," he said. It wasn't a question. Silence answered him. "You could have saved me." More silence. But she did. That landed differently. Because now there was a name behind what had once been anonymous. Face. A presence inside the same house. Someone his mother had tried to erase. Without knowing who she truly was. What followed was not quiet. Power moved quickly. Decisions were made. And in retaliation, so was something else. Notice. Cold. Official. Final. Celine's right to stay was revoked. She had days to leave. He tried to fix it. Of course he did. But Celine stopped him. "Not like this." He didn't understand. "I can make this disappear," he said. "That's the problem," she replied. "If you erase it, it never really existed." So she chose something harder. Truth. Public. Unavoidable. The night of the event arrived. The same ballroom. The same people. The same expectations. But a completely different outcome. He stood at the stage again, looking out at a room that expected power, control, success. Instead he gave them honesty. "My life was saved," he said. "Not by obligation, Not by family, but by someone who owed me nothing. The room shifted. He looked toward the back, where she stood, still quiet, still unsure if she belonged in a place like that. This is about her. When her name was spoken, everything changed. The silence broke, not loudly, but deeply, because some truths don't need noise. They just need to be heard. After that night, nothing stayed the same. Not for him, not for her, not for the woman who had once believed power could control everything. And Celine, she left anyway, not because she was forced to, but because her story there was complete. She didn't stay for gratitude. She didn't stay for recognition. She had never done it for either. Some choices aren't about reward. Some acts don't belong to the person who receives them, but to the person who refuses to let history repeat itself. And somewhere far from that city, in a quieter place, a daughter finally did what she couldn't do before. She changed the ending.